This is Daniel. He was crazy enough to swap a 3.6 VR6 into a Mark 7 GTI. Daniel owns a shop in Florida called 305 Vdubs, where he does a ton of things, one of which is swapping VR6s into all kinds of things. Daniel was also involved with swapping the 3.6 VR6 into a car we previously featured, which was a Mark 6 GTI, which was Matt's build. We heard Daniel was going to be at Eurotripper, which was a show based in Florida, and so we took the drive from Charlotte to Florida to hear his story.
You did. You crazy son of a you did.
This is gonna be a daily driver, as right now I drive a Mark 5 R32 stock, but it has big brakes. Nothing special. It used to be supercharged, and I really want to go back to supercharged, but it blew two engines. I needed a daily driver. The Mark 7 wasn't ready, so I had to put it back to stock, and I will eventually, as soon as the Mark 7 is ready and I can daily drive it, go back to the supercharged Mark 5 R32 and finish that. The Mark 7 is, I think, a cool, reliable, good sounding daily, modern enough, comfortable, you can travel with, whatever you like. You know, it's a downgrade. It's not gonna make, probably gonna make as much horsepower as a Stage 2 GTI, which is bolt on. Probably have to spend $1,500 to get to that, but who loves the Wookiee noises and loves VR6, you have to be a fanatic to do this swap, I think. My favorite. It's not faster, it sounds cooler, that's for sure. I really like to have and make cars what unique, and I mean, you're not gonna see another one of them. Mark 7 wasn't unique, so I had to do something to it. But the brakes are from Audi Q7, Volkswagen Touareg or Porsche Cayenne. The 18Z brakes, but these brakes are not any special, but they do not fit to the Mark 7 factory, as the spindles are on Mark 7 aluminum, and these have different mountings. So I swapped the spindles to Mark 5, Mark 6 steel spindles, custom modified the ABS sensors and some clearance for the heat shield, and these fit with Mercedes-Benz rotors, 18Z 6-piston Brembos. It's a decent upgrade for the price. I really want to do bigger, which is the Panamera. So I really don't want to go higher on the wheel size, and I really like the setup with these BBS edges. I always loved these wheels, but my Mark 5 doesn't really fit them good. But I really want to do 370mm Porsche Panamera brakes, but I don't think the 19s would clear. Other than the Mark 7, I have a couple other Volkswagens and owned a lot of them. A lot of VR6s, mostly VR6s, and I have a 3.6 Swap Corrado, what I got almost 10 years ago for my 18th birthday from my dad. It was completely stock. Daily drove it for about 4 years. I was 18 years old, that thing was slammed, static, rubbed all over the place, but I just moved into the States and went to adventure everything with that. Then the engine blew on the way to one of the shows in Tampa. One of the coolant hose blown, and engine overheated so much that the block and everything got wasted, and put some money together and do a 3.6 swap. Painted the engine bay. It took me 2 weeks to get the car running and driving. That was a very fun build. I didn't really know a lot of stuff, and I invented a lot of things on that swap, and I learned a lot. I was 20 years old when I did that swap. Never really did something big like that. Of course, the 12 valve was out from the car a lot of times. The transmission's been broken a lot of times. So it cost me about $7,000 on parts, what I invested, and since then I haven't put anything in it. I put about 20,000 miles in it, and I haven't spent a penny. That car got me into Volkswagens. It showed me around people. It got me into Volkswagens that much that I opened the shop in Miami, 305 Vdub. We operate for over 4 years now, working on Volkswagen Audi products. If you look at this engine bay, you will see that it's not the right engine for this car. It's an engine from a 2018 Atlas. I think the 2021 and 22 model should be the same motor, running the 2018 Atlas ECU with the DSG transmission from a 2012 Passat. The mechatronic and transmission control is still under work. We'll talk about that later. We mounted the engines basically with the stock engine mounts from a B7 Passat. Only thing we had to modify, we cut a bracket off that used to hold the windshield washer bottom on the other car. It used to have another support for the Mark 7 mount. We don't have that, but it doesn't really affect anything. On the transmission side, we have a DSG transmission from the Passat, same mounting on 2-liter or 3.6 cars or VR6 cars. That mounting is the same as the bottom one on the dog bone. Those just bolt on. They needed no modification.
So obviously, a manual would have been way easier.
The manual would have been way easier, and it would have been already driving probably. I wanted a daily driver. I really like the DSG. The car was already DSG, so I didn't want it to change that. Definitely more difficult, and I talked to a lot of people, and a lot of people said is this way how I did it with the Atlas ECU is gonna be very difficult. Probably not the way how it's gonna work. First, I had to find out heater connections, AC lines, stuff like that. How I'm gonna be able to mount when the engine is in place. So the lines needed to be custom made. They've been cut right here and joined the bottom part as well right here. We moved it a way that it can turn and go down and reach to the compressor on the bottom. It's a Mark 7 fan mounted on a B7 Passat VR6 3.6 radiator, and then the condenser is also Mark 7. We made a custom bracket for them and they hold them together. Looks factory, everything looks factory as it came from the factory like this. I thought I can put an airbox, also covers a lot of wiring, but it looks very stock and clean. But I had to make the mounting and brackets so it mounts on like factory. I had to modify and make a custom bracket for it. The battery is relocated to the back and I have a jumping point right here. The battery is right there. I have a
Yeah, there's your air setup.
Yes, I'm gonna finish it. It was, just last minute. I didn't even know I'm gonna bring it.
I mean, you have a trunk. You have a whole trunk.
Yes, I don't have a spare, which is needed, but I can always put it. Everything still looks stock, and I will keep it like that. It has a regular key. It gives the ignition from here. It will start from here, but at the moment it starts from here. So on the dash we have ABS and traction control that will go away. As soon as we move the car, that goes away. And then we have EPC and check engine. Those I have to connect a lot of things because this ECU used to have a lot more things in the Atlas than what it has now, and it's still looking for stuff like shutters, extra water pumps, electric water pumps on the engine. Was not connected. I have to figure that out. I had a wrecked car and I got some seats from Audi S3. Don't think it really matches with the car, but better than the broken factory seats what it was in it. I really want some wing backs for about $5,000, but that's what I got the car for. That's basically the cheapest and easiest way to get all the parts together is look for the donor. And the other way, you have to source everything piece by piece. You have to research what you're missing. If you're not familiar with the swaps, then or what you need, it's much better to buy everything together with the hoses, everything you will need. I bought a 2012 Passat. The engine is from that, head is from that, all the accessories, everything is from that, including the transmission. But the engine harness, ECU, is from an Atlas. It works on Atlas management, but on the Passat motor. I looked for the Atlas ECU because what you have to do is connect a V6 ECU to the body harness. The body harness has to be the same as the ECU. MQB platform, the only VR6 MQB platform car is an Atlas. So I chose an Atlas ECU and I looked at our data and I looked at the wiring and I started making notes which pins I have to change in the ECU pin body harness. That way I repin the whole body harness side of the ECU connector. So after the wiring, the other difficult thing to match the communication between transmission, chassis and engine and transmission, as it all has to work together, and if it doesn't, it does not work. I tried with the Mark 7 mechatronic. Mark 7 GTI mechatronic worked, communicating with the chassis, no problem with that. Shifter works, everything works, drives first and second gear, but it doesn't shift over that. After that, I started researching and people started saying I could do a standalone, and that's what I got. I got a HGT tuning standalone, what I'm getting programmed. It's on process, so I would say the car is wired up. Everything is filled, coolant, oil. The car came on the tow dolly, cranked up. That has AC. Everything works. I would say 90% ready, except the transmission controller. Because of this, it does not run at the moment.
But you're confident you can make it work?
Yes, of course. I'm not taking it out. If I have to do something with it, I junk it together. I don't want to take that out. This swap is possible. You're gonna need some aftermarket controllers, CAN boost controllers, CAN boost converters, stuff like that. The other way is to cut both sides of the ECU harness and to wire it up to the B7 Passat ECU. Now that way the car is not gonna know anything basically about the engine. So I'm not gonna be able to communicate. It's gonna be just a running engine and transmission, but it's not gonna know nothing about the car. I used to fix any kind of cars, and that's when I got to enjoy actually what I do, when I started working only on Volkswagens and Audis. It's really fun. The people who you meet, the community, everything is awesome.